less spending. We need that. Today, the difference between what the government is raising, what they're taking, I would say, and what the government is spending has never been greater in history. By the end of this decade, our annual interest payments alone are projected to exceed over $700 billion per year. That's just interest payments. This means our interest payment by the end of this decade will be larger than any of our entire federal budgets before 1978. The increase in cost of interest payments between today and the end of the decade is more than the combined cost of the budgets for education, energy, homeland security, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's why we must act immediately, and that's why this election is so important. I talk about, as I'm out talking to people, and I've been involved in many elections, voting, helping other people, volunteering, serving as a precinct committeeman, running for some elections myself. But I've never seen an election more important than November 2nd, 2010. I believe this is a tipping point for our nation. That if we don't respond now to much of what's going on in Washington, D.C., this uncontrolled growth of federal government, getting it back in check, getting leaders who are listening to us, who are responsive to us, who care about what's important to us, take it seriously, the idea of representation. That to represent somebody, you actually have to listen to them and understand them. You have to show up and be available for them to talk to you and be open to their ideas. That's what we need. But we need to act immediately. We need to stop the out-of-control spending. This is America. Government spending should not exceed a quarter of our entire economy. We need to force the government, like many of us have been forced to do, to actually find ways to save pennies on the dollar. To me, it is unconscionable that the federal government has not passed a budget this year. They haven't voted on a budget this year. No budget for the first time in 36 years. It was 1974, the last time that a budget wasn't passed. First time in 36 years that we don't have a budget. How do we hold our elected officials accountable when they refuse to have a budget in place? I won't stand for that. We shouldn't have leaders who stand for that. We should say we need a budget so that the people can hold us accountable for the money that we're spending. Government reform. There's so much we could do to clean up government. We see it here in Illinois, that we need to regain the trust of the people who we serve and get that idea of service back once again. That as elected public servants, we work for you. You don't work for us. Somehow that's gotten backwards. Maybe it's gotten turned around, where elected officials start thinking that you work for them. It should be exactly the other way around. And that's my perspective. And it's more than just talk to me. You can look at my record, you can talk to my colleagues and people that I've worked with down in Springfield, that my commitment is, as I walk into the Capitol each day, I recognize that I've got 200,000 bosses that I report to. Those are my employers. I need to go out there and talk with them, to listen to them, to understand what's important to them, so that I can adequately serve them and meet their needs, meet what they want me to be able to accomplish as their senator, their voice in Springfield. That needs to happen out in Washington, D.C. as well. Something happens. I don't know why it is, but so many of our people that have been elected, as soon as they cross over the Potomac River, start thinking, this is their fiefdom, this is their money, they can do whatever they want to with it, and oh yeah, I guess I gotta listen to my people back home. No, that's exactly upside down. We need people who are listening to us, want to hear from us, want to get our input, recognizing that we don't know everything that we're going to have to make decisions about. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear from those in the medical profession. I want to hear from those in financial work. I want to hear from those in small business and manufacturing, so that we can do what's right for your business, so that you can create jobs once again. That's what it's going to take to get our economy going once again and turn around. We need some of the government reforms. We can do merit pay for public workers, performance metrics for state agencies. Again, I've seen it, that it's upside down, where if we need to go make cuts, what many department directors try to do is hide the things that aren't working and pick something where it would be the most dramatic, painful cut you possibly could make, put that up on top, we'll cut that, that'll be a headline, so that people say, oh, no, we can't do that, so we gotta raise taxes. No, we should be looking at performance metrics for how our policies are doing. If something's working well and serving people, it should get more funding. And we should encourage our directors to look for things that aren't working and cut them. You know, this isn't rocket science, it's common sense. It's good business, and somehow government leaders have lost the sense of good business. We need real deliverables for federal departments. We need zero-based budgeting. Again, such a common sense thing for every one of you in your business. You start at zero every single year, and you think, okay, you plan out as best you can, what are our revenues going to be this year? As best we can, what are our revenues? And then from that, you structure what our expenditures going to be. Government does it exactly the opposite. They say, oh, we spent this much last year, so let's start there, and how much do we want to add on to that? That's crazy. There's no common sense to that. We need to stop that. We need zero-based budgeting, where every single year departments come in and the Appropriations Committee do real work of understanding what's working, what's not working. Let's cut what's not working, let's fund what's working. Or let's get someone in there who can do it. If these department directors can't do it, let's get someone in there who can. Again, common sense, good decision making, we can do it. No congressional salaries until a budget has been passed. To me, that makes great sense. Let's just, I bet you we get action pretty quick. If we just said, okay, no congressional salaries until a budget's passed. I would vote for that, I would support that in a second. Tied into that too, I think every law that's passed out there, congressmen and congresswomen and senators should abide by all the laws that are passed. It shouldn't be a law that they pass on us and exempt themselves from it. We saw that